Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukhavat Bhavit, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavan. So, today is the last day of this session. Normally, to start and go on with an Upanishad may take a week. So, in these 1 hour talks, I'm just trying to make it concise and sum it up in some way. Don't look so serious. Behind you, this lady is looking like that. Sit in complete ananda. So, yesterday we stopped at... so I want to know if everybody is listening. Where did we stop? Nachiketa? See, there are two controversial opinions. Somebody says Isha Vasyan, somebody says Nachiketas. So, actually we did both. When Yamadeva, in the midst of his teachings, said about Shreyas and prayers, about what is good and what is pleasant. And also when we read about Yamadeva's pronouncement on those who are puffed up with knowledge, trying to lead people, is like Andhe Niyamana Yatandaha, leading the blind. So when we came to the subject of that subject of ignorance in the middle of knowledge, abiding in the midst of ignorance, avidyayam antare vartamanaha, the third eye, vartamanaha, swayam dhira panditam manyamana, dandram yamanaha pariyanti mudha, andheneva niyamana yatandaha. That's where we stopped. And then I said, if that's the case, what's the point of having knowledge if knowledge doesn't lead us anywhere? It's not that. Even to read the Upanishads and to understand the Vedas is acquiring knowledge. But that too much importance need not be given to gathering information and stuffing the brain so that there is no space for understanding. That's the meaning. It's not that you should stop reading everything. Now, suppose there is a dancer. She learns the whole art of dancing. I mean, there are dancers here, so they know better. And then she dances to perfection according to the Shastra which she has learned, Natya Shastra. Then, when she has reached a certain level, then she may innovate. If you don't know anything, how will you innovate? What will you innovate? If you simply make this and say, I'm innovating, this is not dance. You know the dance fully, the Shastra, and then when you perfect yourself to an extent where you want to put in a creative effort and innovate, that's a different matter. Right? So, then you can, of course, part of the dance include some English conversation and so on. Ah, Shiva, why are you looking at me? And so on. But then you have to know the science to be able to innovate from it. Right? In the same way, it's good to know. It's not that one should per se throw knowledge out of the window. It means, having understood that, the most intelligent person very soon understands the limitations of knowledge. When I say knowledge, intellectual knowledge. Only the sharp mind can understand the limitations. Otherwise, one might get puffed up, I know all the Shastras. Makes no sense. This is what is being pointed. Not that you shouldn't read or understand. I hope you got what I'm trying to say. So, therefore I said there is a reference in the Ishavasya Upanishad which says, make a very strange statement. First statement is not strange. He who worships ignorance enters into darkness, avidya. Then it says, those who worship knowledge, vidya, enter into greater darkness. Now, this should be stupid, funny. How can this be? We read the relevant sloka yesterday. Now, let's look at this carefully. What the Upanishad is trying to teach us, make us understand, is that there is, in essence, a reality which is not what we see. There is this theory of Maya. Many people think that it means everything is an illusion. Sorry. As long as you are in the illusion, it is real. It's not an illusion. No. When you are out of it, it might appear that way to you. Also, according to my understanding, the theory of Maya is not that everything is unreal. Everything is real, but it may not be as you think it is. Your idea of something may not be exactly what it is. Not that it is not, it is. But, when I say I know something about even an object, I really don't know about the object. I know only what is conveyed to me about the object by my sense organs, the indriyas, which by themselves are so limited. How good are my ears? They can hear only up to a certain frequency. I cannot even hear a dog whistle properly because dogs can hear it. Because my frequency is not built for that. Sight, how far can I see? And how many times are things which I think I see and therefore real, if seeing is believing, real? Okay. Every morning the sun rises. Real? We see it. Every evening the sun sets. We see it. Ask a high school boy. He will tell you that, sorry, the sun neither rises nor sets. The world is moving. But what do we see? We see the sunrise. We see the sunset. How much can you rely on the data or information given to us through the instruments of perception, which are the panchendriyas? Therefore, when the mind forms an idea of the world, depending on the inputs from these sensory organs, it could be wrong. Sight. I see you sitting here. I know you are from Poland, you look, you're fair, you're this, okay, fine, you have this shape. Now, imagine a fly looking at her. A fly's eyes are compound eyes. Any biologist will tell you. It's not one eye, many little eyes put together. Compound eye. How will that compound eye see this little girl sitting here? It may see it as completely different. So which one to believe? The fly or me? I can only say that according to me it is like this. So therefore, according to some other witness, it may be different. Therefore, we don't know the absolute reality of a thing. That's all we are saying. It is there, of course, but we don't know how it actually is. We know only from the data provided by the senses to us. This is why the Upanishad says that the knowledge that we gather, mainly based on our sensory perceptions and then cooked up by the mind, cannot be the reality. There must be something else. In absolute sense of the term. Relatively, yes. The world is complete illusion. We can go and stand before a speeding train. This is not possible. Then you should know, I am not the body fully. Then it's okay. Not otherwise. So therefore, this is what they mean. The second thing is, the Upanishad is trying to teach us something that is here and now and real. Not what we think is real. Upanishad is also trying to teach you what is real. Not what we think is real, but in reality what is real. And therefore, if something is real, it cannot be a memory, because all memory is past. Have you thought of any memory which is present? Tell me. Okay, so look at the process of knowledge. What do we mean by knowledge? I don't know about something. Okay, this is how we start, right? I hope we sometimes say that we don't know. Most people say, I know everything. Suppose I feel, okay, I don't know about something and I want to study it. This is how it begins. You know, I'm very happy to see young people around here. I get very depressed when I see only grey heads like me. There's some hope. Slokas, avastha, sukhino bhavan. So anyway, so what did I say? I got distracted by the young. Huh? No, next. Reality. Okay. So the process of learning. I don't know about the microphone. I really don't know. And now I want to know about the microphone. Okay, somebody teaches me or I see it, I register in my head and then I say, then what happens? It goes into my memory. Right? It is there stored somewhere, the memory. And when I say I know about the microphone, that means I have developed the capacity to go back to that cubby hole, wherever it is, where I have stored the image of the idea and the image, called the microphone, somewhere there, and then I am able to draw it out. This is what I mean when I say I know about the microphone. So it's my memory, right? Now all memory, the very word memory is something in the past. It cannot be in the present. How can a memory be in the present? So when I see this microphone, I recall the memory of having studied about the microphone and I know this is a microphone. All the things that we know, all the knowledge that we acquire, same process takes place. It's stored in the brain in the form of memory, which is a thing of the past. Now, the Upanishad says, Isha Vashyam Idam Sarvam, that which is always here and now, not what is stored as a memory. So anything that is stored as a memory, including the idea of the Brahman, is still not the Brahman. You get what I am trying to say? This is something which has to be always there, not be stored somewhere and recalled. Therefore, once it is touched, says the Upanishad, and also some nuts who have touched it, that it doesn't go, it's there. It's not something to be recalled. It's always there. Therefore, the Upanishad says, if you worship knowledge, and say that you know everything, you are entering into greater darkness, because this limited knowledge cannot define the unlimited. This little brain, which is so puny and limited, cannot define that which is unlimited. So is there no way to find the unlimited because we have a puny brain? Yes, there is. When? Shut it down. Shut down the puny brain. Then what happens? There are several areas of the brain which are not used by us ever. 10%, 20% is used. There are vast recesses of our consciousness which have not been explored. When you look there, then you begin to understand that which is beyond the senses. Upanishad, yat chakshusha na pashyati yana chakshumshi pashyati tadeva brahmatvam vidvi nedam yadidam upasati. It's a sweeping statement, of course, which means that which the eye cannot reach, chakshu, but because of which the eye has the capacity to recognize and register, know that to be the Brahman. Tadeva brahmatvam vidvi, you understand. Nedam yadidam upasate, nothing that you worship here. Upanishad. Now, worship here is another meaning. When one thinks one has so much knowledge, one begins to worship oneself. Biggest obstacle to understanding the reality. Then one builds a bubble around us. That is also the last obstacle to break if one wants to understand the essence of one's being. This is what the Ishavasya Upanishad means by this state. Not that you shouldn't acquire knowledge. In this world, if you don't acquire knowledge, you cannot even carry on. But remember, back of your mind, in the ultimate sense, this is not going to help me. That's it. Back to the Kathopanishad. I'm not going to do the entire Katha, you can't, I told you. But we are going to look at some slokas in progression and work on them. Defining that which Nachiketa is seeking. What is Nachiketa seeking? Is there something beyond that? Am I simply born to die? Or is there an element in me that is beyond repeated births and repeated deaths? To reach that, says the Upanishad, we did Shreyas and Prayas yesterday. It says, Sarvana yapi bahu. We'll just do the translation. He who cannot even be heard by many, whom many even hearing do not know, wondrous is he who can teach this, and skillful is he who finds it, and wondrous is he who knows it, even when instructed by the wise. They are making it even more difficult. Huh? Are they? No. What they are saying, the thing that we are dealing with, which Nachiketa wants to know, is so subtle that it's difficult to teach and difficult to know until one's mind has space to understand. Frees itself from all preconceived ideas and frees itself from the understanding that I know. Therefore, even if you say something, if the mind and the brain is cluttered, it will not enter. So he says, even if somebody teaches, it may not register. And even one who teaches has to be skillful, otherwise even if he knows, he can't present it to somebody. The Kena Upanishad also says, Na vidmo, na vijhanimo, yatha tat anushishyat. I don't know how and in what way I can teach this to you, because the very teaching, the process, muddles that which is being taught. It is said that when Shankara was traveling in parts of Karnataka, South Karnataka, a family came to him and said, "Sir, you are a great yogi. We have a child here in our house who is already 8 years old. He hasn't uttered a word. He's silent. We think there's something wrong with him. If you can please come home and bless him, maybe he will speak." So Shankara went to their house and there was this boy sitting in a corner. Shankara went to him and said, "Why don't you speak?" And the boy for the first time spoke. He said to Shankara, "About what?" "About what?" Then he said, "If I speak, the words will destroy the truth, because words cannot describe what I'm feeling. So, what am I to speak? I'm sitting quiet." Which is why some great souls, after having touched that, decide not to be like me, yak, 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 yak. Sit quiet, do nothing. Like Dakshinamurti. Dakshinamurti just sits. People sit around and say, "Look at him." In modern times, Ramana Maharshi didn't utter a word, as far as possible. He did when he was forced to, I think. Under circumstances. But he just kept quiet. Because the best way to describe this is quietness. But then what will we do for 3 days here? So, what we are trying to say is that however much you talk or words are used, yad vachana abhyutitam, words cannot describe it. We cannot even describe little emotions like ordinary love with words. How can we describe that, which is the root of all this love that we talk about? What do you say? Two young people are looking at each other. If you ask them, "What are you looking at?" Nothing. You say this is hormonal, young. I understand. I'm just comparing. So, क्या हो रहा है? कुछ होता है. But क्या होता है भैया? Can you define? And here we are extending it to the highest, to the universal. Silence is the best policy. I'll continue, but okay. I would love to be silent. First of all, my throat is gone. Days and days. So, this guy is keen on reading the Upanishads. Then it says, taught by an inferior man, he cannot be truly understood, unless taught by one who knows him as himself. Unless someone who teaches it through anubhava knows that to be in his own self, his inner self, there is no way to make it intelligible to others, because it's subtler than the subtle. And not by reasoning is this apprehension attainable. With reasoning we can do many things, but through reasoning, ordinary reasoning, this apprehension cannot be taught. But dearest, taught by another who has understood it, it is well understood. Thou hast obtained it. Hold fast to the truth. May we find Nachiketas, an enquirer like you in this world. Yama says, Nachiketas, if only we could find more enquirers like you in this world, what a wonderful thing it would be. One who doesn't want my song and dance, but only interested in finding the truth. I'm going to skip some. Now then, in the next part, mandala, the 12th sloka says, Tam durdarsham gudham anupravishtam guhahitam gahvareshyam puranam adhyatma yogadigamena Devam matva dhiro harsha shokhao jahati. Realizing through self-contemplation. That self-contemplation, okay? I teach somebody meditation, and the third week I get long email saying, I'm trying, it's not working, do something. What am I to do? You have to find out. Or there may be these premature reactions. My Kundalini is already reached the Sahasrara Chakra. I said, what am I to do now? You're free. If that is the case, you need no help. What are you asking for anyway? So, realizing through self-contemplation, that primal being, that spirit difficult to be seen, deeply hidden, set in the cave, Guhahitam, sitting in the cave, here, not in the Badrinath, here. The wise man leaves behind both joy and sorrow, which means ordinary joy and sorrow. In this life, when there is joy, there is sorrow. So therefore, when sorrow comes, be sure somewhere there is joy lurking behind. It will come. And if you didn't have sorrow, you won't recognize joy anyway. Right? How will you recognize sorrow if you didn't have joy at some point? How will you recognize joy if you didn't have sorrow at some time? So these are opposite sides of the same coin. But one who touches that primeval being seated in the secret of one's own heart, says the Upanishad, is beyond this trouble of sorrow and joy. Sorrow comes, hello, how are you? Have a cup of tea, get out. If joy comes, hello, glad to meet you, have a cup of tea, I have no time, get out. That freedom of mind, when it happens, then says Yama to Nachiketas, you have discovered that. Hold on to it. Don't move. Now you have caught it. Hold steady. Then Nachiketas asks at the end of this part, tell me that which thou seest beyond right and wrong, beyond what is done and not done, beyond the past and beyond the future. This past and the future are constructs of our mind. Because actually, if you sit down now and seriously look, you cannot find the past except in your brain. Can you? Yesterday we were sitting in suspense. When is it going to rain? Is it there now? No. Right? But we carry it in our head, in an image. So all we have about the past is the tape. Not tape, nowadays what is it? Pen drive. That's going on and on. There is no past really, if you look back. Yeah, the present is the result of the past. I can understand that. But at the moment, that past does not exist. Not that past. Even the 1 minute before doesn't exist. It's gone. Even though we would like to hold it. You know, human beings want to capture that which is moving all the time. This Jagat is called Jagat because it is Jagatyam, that which moves. It is the nature of the world. Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat. It keeps moving. But we want to capture. All photography is based on that. I want to capture that moment. I want to freeze it, but unfortunately it doesn't freeze, it moves. Because the past is gone. Every minute, every half a minute, every second is gone. Right? And the future, we know nothing about. Except what we project with our minds. Because this and this happened, this may be the future. That's all we know. But what do we know? We know now. I hope we know now. But we don't allow ourselves to know now because it's always crowded with the past and projecting on to the future. So says the Rishi, can you be still for a while? Here and now. Probably you can touch that gap when one thought has gone and another has not yet appeared. It's not a thoughtless state, okay? There is a witness there. It's not this witness, there is a witness there. You touch that witness and you are free. You see, we think life is a continuous chain. It's not. It's small frames put together. You know, in the olden times, in the cinema, they used to have a film. Nowadays, you don't see film projectors. They used to have film here. There are projector people here. Film projectors. So what do? Each frame, if I want to raise my hand, all frames are taken. If you look at each frame, the hand is in. When you put it in the projector and run it at a certain speed, the hand is raised, continuous. This is the process of the mind. Also, we think there is a continuity and a connection of chain. There is no connection. It's small bits. But when one bit goes and another comes in, the time is so infinitesimal that you cannot grasp it. Therefore, we think it is the same chain going on. The Upanishads says, yes, you can touch the gap. When there is no muck in your brain, when you are clear, when you have no pretensions, you are not puffed up with pride, when you are humble because you know you don't know, that the mind cannot reach that. And when this happens and the mind completely relaxes. Now this is called surrender. Not surrendering and falling at somebody's feet and saying, I have surrendered to you. It doesn't work. You really don't surrender. It doesn't work. It's only a emotional act. Surrender means there's a well there and I say, go jump into the well. You do that? No, sir, no, wait a minute. Surrender really means self-surrender. When the mind surrenders its activities, when all the vrittis of the chitta are released and the mind is quiet, this is surrender. When this happens, now if you say, is there a technique for this to happen? I would say, first to understand it is very important. Is there a way to find the gap that connects the past and the future, which is the present? Yama says, now there is a way to connect to that, says Yama. Yes. What is the way? There's a little one saying, yes, there is a way. And the way, says Yama, that word which all the Vedas declare, which all the austerities tapasya proclaims, desiring which people live the life of a religious student, that word to thee I shall tell in brief. It's so short, it is Om. The word Om, starting with A, O and ending in Ma. In fact, it's one only practice required to touch that which is between the past and the future, in the present. Now, understanding Om first, what it means, and two, actually using it as a chant. Fix your attention in your heart or in the middle of your forehead and chant Om. And don't think it is denominational, it belongs to a religion, it belongs to a language, it's a sound. It's a primordial sound. That Om is a very good instrument to touch that which is beyond the grasp of the ordinary senses. After talking to Yama about that, to Nachiketas about that, Yama said, I will tell you in short, hold on to Om. All mantras start with Om. It's a pranava. Why is it called pranava? It's life-giving. It's a sound. In fact, if you only sit for 10 minutes every day, close your eyes and just make the sound of Om. Give more stress on the last syllable, which is Ma. Om. If you do it religiously without becoming impatient, things will unfold themselves. Om also is the beginning and the end, the alpha and the omega. Because A is the beginning and M is the end. If you need to pronounce another word, you need to open your mouth again. It's finished. So it acts on your mind and your brain, and I wish neurologists experiment on this and have headphones or something stuck to somebody's ears and put on an Om chant for an hour or half an hour and see what's happening in the EEG or whatever you have. You'll see a tremendous change happening. The mind calms down, and in the calmness of mind is reflected the inner self. So says Yama to Nachiketas. He also says, this syllable is verily the everlasting spirit. This syllable indeed is the highest end. Knowing this very syllable, whatever anyone desires indeed will be his. What more medicine do we need? This support is the best of all. This support is the highest. Knowing this support, one becomes great in the world of the Brahman. Then he says, the knowing self is never born, nor does it die. It springs from nothing, and nothing springs from it. It is unborn, eternal, abiding, and primeval. It is not dead when the body is dead. Understand this. It is smaller than the small, greater than the great. The self is set in the heart of every creature. Anoraniyam mahato mahiyan atmasya jantor nihito guhayam. In the secret of the heart it sits. The unstriving man beholds him free from sorrow. Through tranquility of the mind and the senses, he sees the greatness of the inner self, which is not different from the ultimate supreme self. Purnam Ada, Purnam Idam. Then this chapter is titled The Method of Yoga. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu gudho atmana prakashate drishyate tvagrayaya buddhya shukshmaya shukshmadarshibhi. That self, though hidden in all beings, does not shine forth but can only be seen by those with a subtle intelligence. Through their sharp and subtle intelligence, they see the inner self. Therefore, having understood this much, uttishta jagrata prapya varan nibodhata shurasya dhara nishita duratyaya durgam pathastat kavayo vadanti. Rise, awake, having found your boon, understand it. Sharp as the edge of a razor, surasya dhara, and hard to cross, difficult to tread is that path. So sages declare, but I have taught you what to do. Says Yama to Nachiketas. The self, without sound, without touch, without form, undecaying, is very persistent, is without beginning, without end, beyond the great, abiding by that discerning, one is free from the face of death forever. So I have fulfilled your boon, the last, which Nachiketas asked. how can I be free of death? Yama says, you never die anyway, so there is nothing to be free of. This is the teaching of the Kathopanishad. Nachiketa said, how do I be free of death? He said, you don't die. The body dies, the mind dies, there are several ways of rebirth. But the essence in you, which is the same as the essence that is in the universe, is always alive and in bliss and happiness and peace. You can find it in your own heart and use Om to find it. I'm summing up what Nachiketas was told by Yama. This ancient story of Nachiketas told by death, hearing it and telling it, a wise man grows great in the world of Brahma. At least I'm telling so I can. Whoso shall cause to be recited this supreme secret before an assembly of those who are devout, also at the time of the ceremony for the dead, this will prepare them for everlasting life. This will prepare them for everlasting life. So when a person is going to die, instead of crying and wailing and weeping, sit down and tell him, look, this body is going, you are not going anywhere. Your inner self is immortal, it is part of the Supreme Being, so relax. The Tibetans have a system actually called Bardo, where when a person dies, they sit down and say in a slow tune, not to worry, you're not going anywhere, you're going from one room to another. When Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa passed away, Sharada Devi was his wife, so she decided, as in the custom in Bengal, to break her bangles and to rub off her sindoor. She was going to do it the next day. That night, Sri Ramakrishna appeared in a dream and said, what a foolish thing do you want to do? I have just gone from one room to another. So we go from one room to another, and finally we find that we don't have to go from any room to any other room, that we are all the time eternally present as the Supreme Reality. This is the message of the Kathopanishad. But one has to be like Nachiketas to understand, learn and attain it, who didn't care even for kingdoms and land and whatever was offered to him, and said, this is what I want to find, the truth. When a person is ready for it, then one finds it. Well, when a person is ready for it, one doesn't find it, it comes to one. Let's put it that way. Because this grace that we talk about is there eternally present all the time in the form of Vayu or wind. Can you dictate when the wind will blow? No. But when the wind blows, if the windows and doors of your house are closed, will you feel it? No. So, all the preparation, including the chanting of Om, the sadhana that you do, Kriya, Priya, whatever, is opening of these doors and windows so that when the breeze blows, there is space to come in. You can't control the breeze. You can't control the grace. You can't say, shh, come now. Not possible. But keep your windows and doors open. Get rid of the muck that covers our being. Get rid of the pride and, the whole thing that sort of shuts the door. If you can open the door and the window, then when the breeze blows with the sweet smell of sandalwood and jasmine, it will come in. And then you'll enjoy the grace. It's always there. So get ready to open the windows and doors. This is called sadhana. Your external behavior and your internal sadhana both have to go together. And it's not so difficult, it's simple. If only one can listen carefully, it can happen in the snap of a finger. So today, since there are some questions which still haven't reached me, I'm going to stop now. We have 15 minutes. Whatever I can handle, I will handle. The rest, mail me. You know how many mails I receive daily? Anyway, I won't waste my time on that. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. This is a nice question. How does one know that one is on the right journey or path towards knowing oneself and the Supreme One and not leading a seemingly pleasant, peaceful, in brackets, pleasant life and unknowingly complacent life? How does one figure out? Anybody? To lead a drugged and complacent, pleasant life, thinking that we have touched something, is completely different from when you're saying towards knowing oneself and thinking that one knows. There is no such thing as thinking that one knows the Supreme Self. Either you know the Supreme Self or you don't know the Supreme Self. If you know the Supreme Self, this question will not arise. So that means whoever wrote the question is probably just complacent. He is not touched what he is seeking. He is just happy. On a Sunday, a glass of beer and so on. You could have collected the questions before. No questions being given to me now will be answered. There is no time. Now here is something. Can you explain the significance of Sri Yantra and Swastika? This is not the place to explain that. We are doing the Upanishad. We need to know the truth. Please guide us. We are in Madanapalli from the 5th November to the 12th November. I'm sorry, I'm not laughing, but it's a sincere appeal. But I'm teaching you that right now here in Freedom Park, where you can attain your freedom at any moment. However, if you are in Madanapalli from 5th November to 12th November, in that short period, maybe I won't be able to teach you the truth, but maybe it's possible. But I don't know whether I would be there in Madanapalli during that time. If I am there, if you think by looking at me you will find it, then this is possible to work it out. I can't guarantee. Please remember, the learner is as important as the teacher. If the learner is prepared, maybe if you do this, he learns. If the learner is not prepared, it's our job to get the person prepared. That much we can do. So I don't want to read the name of the people who have written it, but there is Raman and Rupa. I did read. Yeah. The constant integrated awareness of Purnamada, Purnamidam, to stay in that pure consciousness, sometimes drops off in frequencies. How to dip deep? What are the thought aspects to be guarded? The only way to reach that state is to constantly apply your mind to it. If it drops, don't be bothered. Say, okay, it will come up. Say constantly with it. And of course, you have to work, you have to do your things. While you're doing all that, put one-pointed attention to whatever you're doing. Then don't think of the Brahman. Then when you sit down, you will get one-pointed attention on the inner. If you don't have one-pointed attention on the outer, you cannot get one-pointed attention on the inner unless you are a great yogi. Already. Therefore, whatever work you do, consider it as your sacred duty and do it with full understanding and one-pointedness. Then, when you sit down, if sometimes it is down, it is the mind that is down. The Brahman can never be down. It has no frequencies up or down. So, whenever it happens, now my mind is down. The Brahman, the reality cannot be down or up. It's always constant. Keep reminding yourself about this. This has to be a serious sadhak. Nobody will write this note otherwise. So I'm saying, when you sit down quietly and meditate, and if you feel that today your mind is down, please know that your mind is down. The reality can never be down or up. It is always constant. When this thought occurs in your mind, then the frequency will pick up. Okay, one more. Chant Om continuously without even thinking of the meaning of it for about 10 minutes. Just chant Om. Fix your attention here in the Ajna and just chant Om and see if your frequency picks up. Do it and see, okay? The proof of the payasam is in the eating it. It is a little complicated. First, happy birthday. Not a question, statement. But there is a question following after saying happy birthday. What are the examples of pleasant and good things? Spirituality and materialistic. What are pleasant and good things? Okay, that's a good question. This you will face in everyday life. As you live in this world, you will see that you are faced with a situation. Check whether it is temporarily pleasant or whether it is painful but in the long run is going to give you happiness. Then decide what to take. What to choose. Okay? Don't take something just because it's temporarily pleasant for today. Tomorrow it might end up with a great headache. So when you are faced with situations, check on that. What should I choose? This or that? And from the spiritual point of view, choose actions and situations that will not distract you and take you away from the path that you are following, but would rather help you to move towards the path. Now when you choose that, sometimes it may be tough. It may not be pleasant. You decide ultimately, I am going to find the supreme pleasantness, so let me be unpleasant for a while, it doesn't matter. I am ready to suffer the pain. With this thought in mind, try to look at things as they approach you and choose what is good and what is as opposed to what is only pleasant. But remember that in life there are good things which are also pleasant. Like for instance, beautiful music. Beautiful, great music is good for you to go deep within yourself. It is good for you to advance spiritually. It's also pleasant to your senses because it is satisfying your senses. In the same way, chants, beautiful chants, they are good, they are also pleasant. They are not, because they are good, they are not unpleasant. There are such things also in this world. There are human beings who are very pleasant, but actually are also good. Yeah? And there are people, but please remember that there are people who are unpleasant but good also. Remember this. So don't judge according to their pleasing manners. Sometimes behind the pleasing manner lurks a tiger ready to eat you. So it should be based on you, how you decide, how you look. Gradually through practice you develop a way to figure this out. There is no hard and fast rule for this. But definitely Anything that leads you away from your sadhana and your spiritual life, avoid it even if it is pleasant. But please remember that there are good things which are also sometimes pleasant, and there are unpleasant things which are good too, many a time. When a teacher scolds you and sends you out of the class, it is very unpleasant. It's a very good thing. I'm not much for corporal punishment, but definitely you get. Well, when we were young in school, my right ear used to be generally red in the maths class. I had a wonderful maths teacher called Gopalakrishna Iyer who used to teach me calculus. After my right ear became completely red, I grasped what is calculus. But we don't encourage it nowadays. So, okay. It's a very complicated question, but good question. One-pointed attention while performing a task very often sucks me into the feeling I did the work, in inverted commas, and I am responsible for the failure or the success. A struggle to de-link from this I identification makes me feel that one-pointed attention leads to attachment. This is my struggle. Quite true in a way. But without one-pointed attention to a task at hand, I have also this overwhelming feeling of not having done my best. Please help. How do I help? See, one-pointed attention while performing a task is not bad. It's wonderful. What is not nice here is that I have done this work. At that time, I'll come back to the rest. What one should think is not only me, somebody else also in my place could have done this work. It's not only me. Someone else in my place may have also, very successful managers who work with big companies and establishments, internet and so on, when they are asked to leave, they feel that nobody can replace them. But somebody easily replaces them. Nobody is irreplaceable. If you understand this point, then that feeling that only I have worked for success won't be there. But you will still do it one-pointedly. Okay. Now, the other is the failure and the success. Do your work with complete one-pointed attention. Don't look at the failure or the success. Avoid it. Because if you really put in one-pointed attention, generally it will be a success. If it is not a success, it is not in your hands. So instead of sitting down and crying and pulling your hair, if you would only look at yourself and find out why you failed, you will find many reasons. If you are ready to throw your ego out and say, I am supposed to win but I failed, throw that out and say there must be some reason why I failed. There's no point in hanging on to this failure and getting depressed. There must be some reason. And I have to figure out that reason. If I figure out that reason and do what is necessary, next time it won't be a failure. Instead of hanging, all people who have succeeded, even in material life, are those who learned from their failures, never gave up and kept going. You know that Thomas Alva Edison, inventing the electric bulb, failed 100 times. If he had given up, 101st time the bulb was invented, we won't be sitting here fully lit. This is material thing. How many times more would you need it in the spiritual life? So keep this in mind. Don't give up. Don't look at success or failure. Go on ahead what you're doing with complete attention. And move. And this I thing we have to watch out carefully. The main problem is not whether I am able to do or not, it's the I that is the problem. Not this I. I. So, I wanted to tell you a story, but people will think there are more questions. Here is a simple, straightforward question. Is it possible to do Kriya as a group with those who have perfected the technique at each center? What does each center mean? Needs to be clarified. Okay. Absolutely. It is possible for people who have learned Kriya to do Kriya practice in a group of people who are friendly and who are doing the same thing in any way, in any place. Only thing is, don't end up quarreling with this is right and that is wrong and so on. Just sit down and do what you think is right. As I progress in sadhana, I come across lots of obstacles. This is the second question. Even health issues. Is it part of the progress you make? If you have health problems, that has nothing to do with Kriya. Okay? But if you have high blood pressure, you shouldn't hold your breath for long. That you should remember. Apart from that, it is not. As far as obstacles in life which are concerned, every obstacle is an indication that you have to go across it. You can't get defeated by it. You should move forward. If there are no obstacles coming up, that means something is wrong. You need to overcome the obstacles. Overcoming obstacles makes the mind sharp and makes you capable of doing sadhana. But don't think that because you are practicing sadhana, obstacles are coming in your daily life. That is not true. Well, even I had done many years of sadhana. I hope you believe me. I didn't fall from heaven. I did many years of sadhana. There were no worldly obstacles because I didn't want anything worldly. So, but in spiritual life, there were obstacles. And one of the obstacles was that you suddenly got too much interested in learning the scriptures. Or you got too interested in the song and dance and you had to pull yourself out. Luckily, there was this wonderful father, mother, guru and friend, Maheswarnath Babaji, who was with me. At every drop of a little point like that, he would point it out and say, "Soch lo, ruko." So I managed to pull myself out. I am here, but if I say "Soch lo, ruko," nobody is going to stand. So I can't. I'll try my best. So this, okay, since it's very important to get rid of this I feeling, which is also what I feeling, the real I will always be there. That's what we are looking for. We are talking about the other I, the intruding I, which says, this little I, which is, oh, I'm this, I'm that, and if one can look at it carefully and see it as an obstacle, then one can be free of it. So, it's 8 o'clock, 7:30 already. So I'm going to stop. Now, those who have given me more questions, I would suggest that you email. And don't get impatient. And if you don't receive an answer in 10 days, it will come. Please be patient. Because I get 200, 300, 400 emails every day. I try my best to reply to every one of them. And I don't have a secretary who can read the emails, because then everybody will know what the email is. It may be very personal. So I have to look at it personally. So give me some time and be patient with me as I am patient with you. And then you get the reply. So we might have to, so those who I still have here, including the last ones that came from here, please do mail me and we'll work on that. Okay? Thank you very much. Now, before stopping, I'm going to tell you a story. Many of The people who have listened to me have heard this story before, but bear with me, it's worth repeating. It's about precisely that, the ego. How do we close this thing? They give complicated things which it's something happening here. Anyway, so we went on a walk, from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. Many people know that we did that. It took us 1 year and 4 months, some 7,500 kilometers we walked. And then, when we reached, in Karnataka, there are many Lingayat mutts. So in every Lingayat mutt, we were welcomed and given place to stay. And the people were very kind to us. Even though I told them, sometimes I refer to the Supreme Being as Narayana, they said, doesn't matter. And then, in one of these mathas, there was a Swamiji, Shivacharya Swamiji. I don't forget the name of that matha. So many of our satsangis who were walking with us said, sir, for many days we haven't had a satsang. So please, can you have a satsang? I said, okay. So we organized a little satsang in the mutt premises. Suddenly the old Swamiji, much older than me, said, I also want to attend the satsangs. I got a little taken aback. I said, but Swamiji, this is for the satsangis. May not be that high funda for you. No, I'll simply sit here. He said, okay. So we got a chair for him and he sat down and we had a nice satsang. At the end of the satsang, I asked Swamiji, do you have anything to say? So he said, well, I have something to say. If you feel okay, then I just want to tell a story. So I said, okay, fine. So he told us a story. I'm not tired of repeating this story wherever I go. From Karnataka, I repeated it till Srinagar. And now wherever I go back, I come back, I repeat it because it's such a wonderful story and it kind of pinpoints something very interesting. He said that there was a great sculptor who makes sculptures, who was summoned by a temple priest to make an image, vigraha. We went there. And then the priest looked at him and said, I know all the signs of death. So I think in a few months, 3 months, at this particular time, you're going to die. So the man said, what is this? You are saying I'm going to die. You are a priest. You are supposed to be the agent of God and so on. Why don't you tell me how to escape? You might be knowing some way. He said, yeah, there is a way to escape. What is the way? He said, you are a great sculptor, right? Yeah. So go back. There are 3 months. Go back to your workshop and make 2 more or 3 more images just like yourself. Okay? And when the Yamadutas come, they ride on buffaloes, they're a little weak in the head. So when they come, you go and stand in the midst of these sculptures, they cannot make out which is real and which is duplicate because you're such a great sculptor. They will go back. When the muhurta is over, then they can't come. So finished. Okay. So he went, worked hard. 3 months passed, that day came at 11 o'clock, as he said, the Yamadutas appeared on their buffaloes. Luckily the doors were big, so the buffaloes could enter. And then he went and stood in the middle with two images of himself on either side, like this. Those images were also like this, without moving. They came, they looked, they couldn't find out which is real and which is duplicate. So they went back. Can you get me those papers? It's homework for me. So, they went back. So he thought, now it's all solved, there is no problem. Then, 3 months later, the priest said, your time is still coming. One more time is coming, watch out. Do the same thing as I said. Are those images still there? He said, they are still there. Okay, you do the same. Meanwhile, Yamadutas went to Lord Yama and said, what is this? We can't find out which is duplicate and which is... Yama said, see, I knew you are weak in the head. But, okay, next time, 3 months later is coming again, is death. When you go, you come to me, I will give you a mantra, I will whisper it to you. Go and do accordingly. I said, okay. So 3 months later again, the death came. Priest had warned him, so this fellow went and stood in the middle of, like that. Yamadutas were about to go. Yama said, come here and Vishnu. They said, okay. So they came, and instead of trying to find out which is duplicate and which is real, they just stood there and said, what a wonderful sculpture this fellow is. He has made it so beautiful. In fact, we can't make out which is duplicate, which is real, because it appears if you put our hands that there is the breath coming. And it looks like the skin is so real. The hair, it's like a real hair, and so on. They did this for 2 minutes. This guy he stood for about 1.5 minutes. Then he forgot. He said, I made it. So, they said, come. So, if we could somehow take care of this eye, you can beat the Yamadutas. So the boss gave the right advice. And that's the same advice the boss gave to Nachiketas, saying, get rid of that and you're free. So, how do we do that? Not by mentally thinking about it, which is one thing. In day-to-day activities in life, watch ourselves carefully. What are we doing? See how we behave. Then you will find that I am also behaving like some other people. Me too. Not that me too, please. So, thank you very much. I think I should release you because it was a sunny evening, but it's good to read. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. I hope something rubbed off, hopefully. We will meet again, don't worry. I am here.
It is with a deep sense of gratitude and reverence that we thank you, Guruji, for addressing us for 3 consecutive days, despite the pressures of time. If our respect and gratitude for you has to assume any meaning, it is that we try to put into practice in our daily lives what you have communicated to us in such a lucid and decipherable way. Mattamme Parama Pujya Gurugalige Anantananta Pranam. One or two announcements.